the different types of colleges. We often hear about schools like Cal State Fullerton, Fullerton College, because they're the ones that are super nearby you guys, which is great that you guys have schools so close by. But there are different types of colleges. So just to give you an idea, there's private schools like Biola University, for example, Chapman University, Hope International University. There's public schools like UC Irvine, Cal State Fullerton, and then there's community colleges like Fullerton College, and what's another one nearby, like Santiago Canyon College, Cypress College. Those are all community colleges. So they all run a little bit differently and they offer different things, but there is no one type that is better than the other. It really just depends on what you're looking to get out of the school and what is right for you in the moment. So maybe you don't feel super prepared to go straight to a four-year university. You can always start off at a community college and then transfer, or if you feel ready to do that and you get good financial aid and everything, you can go to a private or a public school. So again, I just really want to emphasize that there is no one that's better than the other. I know often we might hear like, oh, community college isn't as great an accomplishment as a four-year. Well, that's not true. There's a whole lot of different reasons why a student would need to go to a community college first. It really just depends on what's best for you. Something that's not on here, but that, if any of you want to talk about it more, I'm happy to talk about it, is trade schools. So if you want to be something like a plumber or an electrician, you wouldn't necessarily go to a private, public, or community college for that. There's specific schools for that. Same thing with like barber schools, stuff like that. So again, it really depends on what you might want to do or just where you're at in your life. So up here we have Cal State's, UC's, privates, and community. And then here are a few things just to think about. So do they require A through G requirements? These two, they do. These two, not so much. This is kind of just in their basic format, but again, there's a lot of details that go behind all of this. We might have talked about this before, but usually Cal States and UCs would require students to take the SAT and the ACT tests and use those scores that you get in order to see if they admit you or not. Because of COVID and everything going on right now, they're not requiring you to take those tests. So at the moment, for my seniors and my juniors, most likely, you won't need to take this test. For freshmen and sophomores, there's a chance you might have to. You don't have to worry about that quite now, but there's a chance, probably not likely, but for our juniors and our seniors, definitely you won't need to worry about this. Some private schools still might require them, but I feel like it's less and less now that, COVID has lasted for so long and it's impacted us in so many different ways. We don't have to worry about it too much. So what is basically the difference between a four-year college and a community college is that you can't really get a bachelor's degree from a community college. Very few offer bachelor's degrees, and it's for very, very few careers, like an occupational therapist, for example. If you would like a bachelor's degree, you would have to immediately or eventually go to a four-year university to get a bachelor's degree. And all of these schools, except transfer students, you can transfer from a community college to any school. You can even decide, if you do 1 year at Santa Ana College and you're like, actually, I don't want to be here, you can go to Fullerton College the next year. So it's really flexible in that way. And then for undocumented students, all of these schools accept undocumented students as well. I feel like sometimes we may not know, or we may think like, oh, because a student might be undocumented, they're not able to go to college at all, or they're not able to go to a certain type of college. That's not true. They can be accepted anywhere. They just need, good grades, as all students do. They might have to do a different application or different processes, but they are absolutely able to be admitted to any schools, especially in the state of California. It kind of depends in other states, but in the state of California, like absolutely, if you're an undocumented student, you can go anywhere. And then promise programs. So a promise program is basically, they advertise it as 2 years of free tuition for college, and it is at community colleges. So if you follow like Fullerton College, for example, they'll talk about it a lot, where they offer 2 years of free tuition. So if you really wanted to and you tried your best at it, you could go to Fullerton College for free, basically, for 2 years, and then transfer to a 4-year university. So that is only a community college option. That's not something that's offered to a UC, to a 4-year university. They do not do free tuition, unfortunately. That's just a community college thing, and it really depends on the community college, but most of them in our area offer that. And then general education requirements. So just like high school, where you have to take math, you have to take language arts, you have to take science, most schools do require you to do that as well. So they might have you where you need to take 1 or 2 years of a math or an English class. At private schools, it depends. Private schools run really differently from everyone else. They can basically do whatever they'd like. So if you're interested in a private school, you definitely have to do your research in terms of what their requirements are. But for the other schools, they do, like in high school, require some years of the basic subjects that you would take in high school as well.